Cool. All right. So, how are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? So, we are going to go through a masterclass of talking about vision and how getting the right vision can help us get the outcomes that we want, right? Just understanding a little bit more about focus and some of the things that are getting in the way. All right. So, I'm going to go through three different types of vision going on here. And these three different types of visions are really key indicators to us where we're at right now in terms of our progression within life, within our personal development. So ideally, the place that we really want to be, these are necessarily the things that I think that majority of men really thrive or want. These are the things that we really want to connect with. Okay. So when we look at these, there's ideally six. Okay. So number one is wanting to have ultimate focus, like real, relentless, ultimate focus of knowing where you want, knowing where you want to go, knowing what you want out of life, and knowing how you're going to get there. And then when we have this, we understand where our time and our energy goes better. So when we have that clear focus, we manage the time and energy as a byproduct. All right. Does that make sense? And because we manage it better, we tend to feel less chaotic, less frustrated, and less anxious, and tend to feel like we've got more control. We tend to feel like we are progressing more. And we tend to feel like we've got more clarity or certainty about the things, the direction that makes us happy, that gives us purpose, that gives us fulfillment. Okay. And they're the things that we naturally want as a guy. I think sometimes we going around feeling a little bit too stressed, a little bit of a Groundhog Day mentality, a little bit too reactive, and that can create an awful lot of emotional turmoil, right? And then our time and energy is just spent trying to figure out, like, where are we going with this? What's happening with this? Okay. So the next one here is energy. Like, tell me if you don't want more energy. So if you struggle with energy, let me know in the comments. Okay. Let me know if it really like affects your life. And I think men struggle in general with energy levels. And there is a number of reasons why, which we'll come to in a minute. But ideally, men would love the energy to, when they come home, to be able to have the energy to connect, to be able to have a conversation with their wife or the partner, right? Rather than feeling quite exhausted, tired, frantic, or whether the kids are screaming in the ear and we want more energy to be able to engage with those kids and play fight or go and play football or go down to the green with the kids afterwards. More energy to have a better sex life. Okay, maybe that sex drive has disappeared just because we don't really have the energy to want to do it. Okay. We want a body that we can be proud of. And I always think that this is something that we tend to neglect. Men naturally neglect their bodies, but what we really want is that body that we can look at in the mirror and kind of go, man, I'm really proud of that. It doesn't have to be a six-pack. You don't have to have guns. You don't necessarily have to have the chest. You can just have a body that you're proud of because of all the effort that you've put in. And when we put all of that effort into that body and achieve that outcome, man, that's something that makes us feel really good about ourselves. When we don't do that, that's when we tend to feel really like beat ourselves up a little bit. Okay, we tend to be really harsh on ourselves. Okay, so the fourth thing that most men really want is a real good connection with their wife. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I've come across a lot of different scenarios along the way, and a lot of the guys that I speak to who have ended up being divorced or separated from their partner really regret the lack of connection that they had with their wife, because naturally they threw everything into work or they misplaced their priority at that time. And it was a tough lesson for a lot of those guys. But I think there's a lot of guys who are still craving a connection with their wife, a much better understanding with them, a much better communication with them. And I think this is really important. And even more so, like I'm here by myself this week, where the girls have gone to see the mum-in-law and stuff. But I've been here 3 days without them, and it feels very lonely. It's a life that I would not want to live. And I think it's really important to understand that connection. Men want more structure and routine and systems. So structure, routines, and systems brings 4 C's. Okay, It brings 4Cs naturally. So when we have more structure within our day, when we have routines that benefit us, and when we have systems that allow us to really be able to live the life that we want to live, put barriers in place to protect our health, mental health, emotional health, we bring these 4Cs. And those 4Cs are consistency of action. So instead of trying to do it all at once, we can then break it down and do lots of little micro bits along the way, right? We then have control of time, energy, and focus. We then have clarity. So the clarity is of where you're going to go in your life, what you're trying to achieve, and how you're going to get there. And that's a really nice place to be, right? Rather than waking up and kind of going, where am I going in my life? Now what? Because I think a lot of men our age kind of get to that point in their life and they kind of go, now what? I've got a couple of kids. Maybe those kids are growing up. Maybe they're young. Maybe you've got the job. Maybe you've got the house. Maybe you've got the car, but you kind of just feel that emptiness. Okay, so the structure, routine, system brings that. And then the last C is the commitment to yourself, having a commitment to yourself, having a chase, having a challenge. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of men will want that. And then the last thing here is vision. I think it's important to want vision, because vision then brings excitement, passion, drive, desire, direction, purpose, all of those key buzzwords, right? Really exciting buzzwords that really benefit us. And when we have vision, it's a really great opportunity for us to be able to wake up and go, right, I kind of got some idea about what my mission is in life. Now that would naturally evolve, and that would naturally grow or switch fire, you know, but having vision, I think, is definitely something we all want. So if we want all of these, if these are the things that we want, why aren't we having these things? Why aren't these things in our life? Now, you might have one or two of those things. If you've got any of those things in your life, what I'd love for you to do is be really honest and put in the comments. If you've got none of these in your life, I want you to be really honest and in the comments put, I've got none of these in my life. Okay. You might have one or two, you might have some of them where the cup's half full, but it's really difficult. And I appreciate it, because I've been in that position. You know, I've been in that position where when I left the military, I didn't have any of this. I lost all focus. I lost all focus when I left the military, because I lost my purpose and my drive. I had a lack of energy because I just didn't want to wake up. I just didn't really know what to do with my life. I used to have this is like when I left the military. I left the military and I was a physical training instructor, so I was in great shape, and I lost that. I lost connection so much so I got divorced. I had no structure, routine, or system, which created a really negative downward spiral mindset to the point where I nearly killed myself. And I lacked vision. So I lacked all of these. So I recognized that these are all the things that I wanted. Now, what's the problem? What is the problem? Okay, so we're going to go through that. So what is here is this wall. So this is like a wall, okay? And we want to get through this wall. That's what we want to do. We want to break through this wall to get all of these goods, all of these gems, right? So there are 3 different types of vision and living. And very much the first 2 that I'm going to show you are the ones that really are the things that are stopping us getting to this place. Okay, getting to this place. And as we go through each one, I'll explain what happens inside of our minds and our lives. Okay, so this is the first one. If you excuse my drawing, that's meant to be a tree. Okay, so here. And it's really good for you to be honest in the comments, guys. Like, vulnerability is strength. Being honest about where you are is really, really important. It's really important. And then if we don't ever be honest with ourselves and we never confront ourselves, we never really tell ourselves that there's a better way of living, and we have to confront the man in the mirror. So this one here, this is meant to be a tree, and this is meant to be you. And this is when, if you go right up to a tree in a park or something and you put your head right up against a tree, almost resting your head against that tree, and you look straight at it, all you would see is the bark, right? So this is where I find most men, this is the problem, is that is their vision. They only see what's right in front of them. So if you imagined either standing right in front of a tree or just walking around all the time, just like looking down, that's all you're just looking at what's in front of you. And I think that's what a lot of lads are doing right now. And I would call this the Groundhog Day mentality. So we're doing the same thing. We're going round and round and round doing the same thing. And what I find or have found over the years of working with thousands of guys now and having hundreds of conversations is that we're waking up and we're firefighting everything. So instead of trying to grow, instead of trying to blossom, blossom, I've never said that in my life. Instead of trying to grow, instead of trying to move forwards or raise the standards or gain new tools or gain new habits or build new routines, we just firefight what we know. So we wake up, we press snooze 3 or 4 times. We wait to the last minute to get out of bed. We then are struggling to find our keys. We then haven't had time to have breakfast. We then walk out the door hungry. Then we probably grab a McDonald's or something from Tesco's on the way. I went to London today, and the number of people that I saw with a can of Monster, you know, the Monster poison that everyone drinks. So you then, by the time you get to the office or you set up for work at home, you then get to the point and you're so frustrated and annoyed already. You're just firefighting. You open up your emails and there was about 100 emails. You don't prioritize them. And you spent so long trying to get back to your emails. You're already behind on tasks at work. You then go through the day and you're almost behind. It's like, oh my God, it's the cycle. You probably end up working maybe half an hour to an hour over for work obligations. You get back, you're moody, you're not connecting. Everyone's treading on eggshells around you. You grab a beer, you're not emotional. You sit down on a sofa, you acknowledge everybody, but in a disgruntled manner. You then probably stay up to watch Netflix to about 11 or 12, slowly feeling sorry for yourself. You go to bed and you do the same again and you live for the weekend. Okay. And it's that vision, it's that life, it's that cycle that is causing, I think, for many guys, a lot of the pain. That is becoming this. And we're not achieving any of this because if you ask yourself honestly, you can put that in the comments, when was the last time you educated yourself to build better focus? When was the last time you learned how to manage your time and energy? When was the last time you learned how to build energy? When was the last time you invested in your body? How consistent do you do that? When was the last time you thought about how do I improve my relationship? Like, again, how much time do we spend? Well, we don't, because a lot of the time is just spent firefighting. Just trying to figure out how we get through the day. Does that make sense to everyone? If that makes sense, just let me know in the comments or just hit the blue thumb button or whatever. Some acknowledgement, obviously, because I'm just talking to my computer. So that's the first one, okay? That is the first set of vision. So that is one of the first barriers that's happening, okay? The second one, here we go. Okay, so this is the second one. It's the same scenario. So now imagine that tree that you were looking at, right? So imagine that tree that you were looking at. And this time, I want you to imagine that you take 10 paces back. So you come back from 10 paces. So what we can see is in around that tree is some daylight. We can see some things behind that tree. It's not so reactive anymore, okay? So there's about a 10-meter gap here. So this now, basically, if you were walking down with your head down all the time, this time is now every 10 steps, you look up and you look up. And you would do this, a normal time that you would do this is maybe if at the start of the new year, New Year's Eve. So you'd be quite inspired. You'd have this romantic thought about New Year's Eve. This is how I'm going to change my life. This is what's going to happen. Or you might have booked a holiday and you're 10 weeks out. So you decide for 10 weeks that you're going to actually really get on it. Okay, maybe you're getting ready for a wedding. Maybe someone's just died and it made you really feel like I need to get on with my life and change my life. Something has triggered you to kind of do something. So for example, we're running the Elite 7 course this week. So what ends up happening is that you then are focused for a period of time. And then what ends up happening is we slowly get sucked back into this. Okay, so we slowly get sucked back into this. And we do that because we haven't built substantial roots. Okay, so we started to do something for ourselves. Man, I'm pumped. Man, I'm excited. Man, I'm changing. But actually, something happens, something at work, it drags you away, and then suddenly you're straight back to vision one. And what I find is that when we're trying to work on ourselves, we go between vision one and vision two, vision one and vision two. Okay, so we're not on it, we're really reactive. Something happens, this might happen 3 or 4 times a year. You suddenly feel inspired to want to lose weight, suddenly feel inspired to change your life. You have this epiphany, you watch this film, you get inspired, you watch a video on YouTube or Instagram, and we go for it. But the problem is that we're not building key principles for all these wants. So this is just that cycle. Does that make sense to everyone? Does everyone kind of recognize a period of time when they feel like they've been on it, that it's only lasted 2 or 3 weeks, and then we always go, oh, you know, the old habits have crept in. They've kind of got back on top of me. I'm back to where I am. We'll wait another 3 months and then we'll go on it again. That's a miserable existence. You've got to admit, right? So that's Groundhog. This is average. Now, the thing with average thinking is that it brings average results. Average mentality brings average outcomes. So if we want these things, these are all the glowing diamonds and things that we showed, right? We want these things. We have to change the way that we think with our brain. We have to be able to build, train, and educate over a consistent period of time. And it's about taking small steps, 1% wins, so that we slowly but surely chip away at the mindset here. Okay, so we're going to go into the third one. Okay. See down here? Yep. Okay, so this is the biggest breakthrough that all of our clients will have. So if you're a client of mine, you might be able to, and you're watching, you might be able to really shed some light on this, or I have been a client. What we suddenly do is that the tree it's not even a factor in this anymore. This is a mountain, by the way. We climb the mountain behind the tree, and we climb to this high point, and we suddenly go, man, I can see for miles. Now, if you ever go to the jungle, if you've ever done jungle training, one of the things that we always often get taught is get to the highest point to either find the river or reference points. And when you're up there, you can kind of see everything. You can see a point. And what we're trying to do when we create this third vision, okay, when we create this third vision, we're trying to create a North Star. So a North Star is a reference point of where we want our lives to go. So we kind of get excited about life. We build something up here and we go, this is what I want out of life. Because at the minute, most of you are between here, so you're not even thinking about it. One of the biggest frustrations I have is trying to wake men up out of that zombie state. So a lot of men right now are just going around in a zombie state where they're not really paying attention. They know that they probably should be, but the thing is that I just don't have time to listen to all of this training. I don't have time to do that course or program. I just don't have time. And then suddenly you wake up at 65 and you've retired, and suddenly we've neglected ourselves and our relationships and everything else, and it all comes back. You know, that's what I found when I've worked with 60-year-old men, is that I just wish I did it. I just wish I got on with it. And we always have that. It's this cycle that we keep going around, and it doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. The way that we can live our life can change. But actually, if I just dragged you out of that rat race that you're in, of that 100-mile dash that you're on, where you're rushing around. And I was people watching today in Starbucks in London. I was just waiting before I went to my meeting, and I sat there and I just watched people, and they were like 100 miles an hour. And I was looking at every man. I didn't look at any women. I was just looking at every man and wondering what was going on in his head. Some had their earphones in, some were rushing around, some were pretty chilled out and cool, right? But they were just rushing around. And that's what we're doing in life. We're like rushing. And if I could just drag you out of that and put you on a bench and I got you to look out to the sea, and I got you to take 10 deep breaths, and I got you just to relax. And I just said to you, what do you want out of life? Does what you want out of life reflect the way that you're living now? If it doesn't, then why are we doing it? Then why are you doing it? Vision 3 is the awakening. It's the resurrection. And to break the resurrection, you have to stop and take a breath, because this cycle can only go on so long. It's miserable, right? I've been there. I spent 3 years there when I left the military. If you are in this state, tell me exactly how it feels, because you've got to be honest. If you're in that state, it's miserable, isn't it? It's a miserable existence to wake up and kind of go, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I've got to achieve. I don't know what to do. Okay. So this vision 3 is where we're trying to get men to. This is what we're trying to do. So we're going on a journey. This is a project. So we're building this project up. Okay. And when we are here, we're just angry. We're just frustrated. You might even cry. Like, you might not tell people that. And when men commit suicide, they're in this state here and they don't see a way out of it. And I know that because that was my state of mind when I made the decision that I was going to commit suicide. Like, I planned it all through the day. I just was like here, and I was sitting at the edge of the bed, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. There's no way out. But there is. And it's just a shifted mentality. It's just a shift of the way that we see the world. Okay. It's just a way. And when I pulled myself away from that situation where I decided that that was it, that was end of game for me, I withdrew from the house and I went on this 3-hour kind of walk / run. And I went off there and I cried and I laughed and I went through all of these emotions and I was just vulnerable. And what I'm saying to you here, this was my moment. This was my epiphany. I'm not saying I'd come back and I was like, I am ready to go. It's taken many years to build me, many years to self-educate me. Okay. For us to get to this, to get these wants, we have to be willing to climb the mountain. So we have to be willing to put the work in. We have to be willing to be patient. We have to be willing to learn. We have to be willing to invest. We have to be willing to open our eyes and go, enough is enough, man. My wife deserves a better husband. I need to be that better husband. My kids, they deserve my attention, because the kids don't care what you do for a job. They don't care how much money you earn. They don't care about your status. What they care about is the attention that you give them. You want to wake up and actually be proud of your body and look at it and kind of go, I work for this. Like, if you ever want to feel progression, like, do 4 20-minute workouts a week for the rest of your life and kind of look at how your body changes. And when you look at your body, it's something you could be proud of. I can't ever give you pride. I can't ever make you feel proud of yourself. Only you can do that through action. And we start when we get to this place here. We start when we get to that place here. So let me wipe this board. And we're going to talk about key principles when we get to that vision state. Okay, the key principles. So the key principles are the things that are going to get us to the place that we want to be, to the place we want to be, to the place we want to be. Okay, these are in no particular order. Okay, so in order for us to move forwards, in order for us to move forwards, you have to get this idea out your head that it's got to be the all or nothing thing. It's not going to just be you're not suddenly going to start something and it become like this great big boom, it's going to change overnight. I'm working with guys. We are working, I think we've got, overall, there's about 300 guys in my world. okay, across the platforms, whether it's business, whether it's in my higher coaching programs, whether it's guys who are my Elite Brotherhood members, whether it's guys in my Elite 7, whether it's guys in my Elite 28-day program or Elite 90 program, right across the board. Okay, and the one thing that is for sure is that it takes about you 12 months. It's going to take you 12 months to change. And the way that we have to look at this is 1%. 1% a day. And this is what 1% a day looks like. Okay, so we could be going like this, and we get all these little 1% wins, and then boom, we have a huge win. Going along, huge win. All right, so a 1% win, 1% is about 14 minutes, 44 seconds in a day. It's about, my Alexa's going off in the background. All this, so this, Alexa, turn off. So this could be a multitude of you working out over a 4-week period, and the big win suddenly being, man, you've lost a stone. And because you've lost that 1 stone, you mentally feel great. You've been chasing, you've had a challenge, you've got fire in the belly, your clothes feel better, you're having better sex with your wife is all over you, you've got more energy to play with the kids. And 1% win could be you doing 15 minutes worth of a workout, Monday to Friday. Is that achievable? 100% it is. 1% of your day. And then what we think about is progression. That's what we want to feel as men, right? We want to feel like we are making progression. We want to feel like we're not staying the same. We don't want to be that number 1 and 2 vision that we were going through over and over and over again, because it's a painful state. So what we start doing is building SRS, structure, routine, systems, to make sure that we stay consistent, in control of our time and our energy and focus, clarity about what we're trying to achieve, and committing to ourselves. So structure, routine, and system. So a good one of this would be the morning routine. Now, the morning routine is the biggest SRS that I teach, okay? So we wake up in the morning, we get up an hour earlier than normal, we do some activity, we do some mindset, we do some clarity work, we do some gratitude work. We build that as part of our armor in our head. And that becomes the strength. That becomes you building up for the day. Okay, that's what we do a lot with a lot of our guys, right? And changes their complete and utter outlook of the day by simply having that morning win. That's what it brings. Okay. Number 3. Oops. Is the 4 C's. Whenever we think about where we're not performing, or when we're at the top of that mountain and we're trying to build that vision, the 4 C's, I'll just go over them real quick again: consistency, control, clarity, and commitment. So when you ask yourself, why am I not showing up? Why am I not being consistent? Well, we're not consistent because you're trying to achieve too much too soon. So here's a really good example of consistency. If I asked you to run 30 miles every day for 30 days, could you do it? I would say that 99.9% of you probably couldn't. But if I said to you, over 30 days, could you run 2 miles every single day? I would say that 99.9% of you probably could. So it's a more realistic approach, right? So that consistency is about recognizing your expectations and the level of conditioning that you're at right now. So in terms of everybody kind of listening, whether you're on my Elite 7, whether you're listening on my Facebook page, you know, you're probably at chapter 1 or 2 of your journey. I'm at chapter maybe 600 because I've been doing this since 2014, like this type of stuff that I'm educating you guys on. Okay, so it's relevant for where you're at in terms of consistency. The control thing of your time and your energy and focus, you get the focus right, the time and energy is naturally just falls into place. Without focus, we're trying to do too much too soon, and it's completely and utterly crumbling, okay? And then we have clarity. Clarity is the antidote to anxiety. We get anxious, you get anxious when you don't know what's going on in your life, when you don't know where you're going, when you're uncertain, when you're unsure. And anxiety brings fear. And then we start performing off a fear basis. And then we don't really move forwards. And then we get even more frustrated. And then we drink. And then we get angry. And then we just get really annoyed with life, right? And it doesn't happen the way we want it to. And that's not what we're trying to achieve here. And then the last thing is that commitment to yourself. Okay, that commitment to yourself to be the ultimate version of yourself. Okay. Number 4 is a mission. So early in the stages, we want something to focus. Okay, so i.e. the North Star. Okay, what is it that we're trying to chase now? And we start really simple. At the very start of your journey, it's about what do you want to achieve in the first week. And we do that through our 5 pillars. So we've got a structure. So the 5 pillars is a structure, a routine, and a system. So we focus on personal development. We focus on health, business, relationships, and fun. So when I say to you, what's your mission this week? You can go, oh, this is what I'm going to achieve per pillar here. Okay. Or you can just say, this is what I want to achieve. These are my 5 wants for the week. Okay. So whichever way you do it, it's about having that North Star. So we're moving towards that North Star. Okay. Probably the most important one. Emotional connection to showing up. Why are you showing up? Why are you showing up? Why do you want to be better? Why do you want these things? Why are these things important to want in your life? And when we understand that, we have this fire, and we have this drive, we have this electric spark in us that makes us show up. So if you turn around to me and said to me, I want to show up because I want to be better for my kids, and you didn't show up, you are basically saying to yourself that your kids are not worth you showing up. They're not good enough for you to show up, which you obviously don't mean. So when we have that connection, when we're doing it for someone, when we're wanting to be the role model, when we're wanting to be the leader of the family, it brings that fire, because you can't rely on motivation. There's no way you're going to do this on motivation alone. Motivation is like happiness, sadness, jealousy, hatred. It kind of comes and it goes. It's like a wave. And you right now, you're probably slightly motivated because you're listening to this and you're recognizing yourself and you're thinking, oh, I could do much better here. I want to do much better. This is what I want. I want to follow these principles to get these wants. But then tomorrow morning, that motivation might have just slipped away because you've woken up and the chimp's loud. And because the chimp's loud, you don't feel motivated. But that's where we have to, and that's where I have to, or had to, when I started getting up at 4:15 in the morning to start my day, I had to be like, no, get up. Whereas now it's second nature. But the emotional connection is the thing that will get you over the line when you don't feel like it. All right? Makes sense to everyone? Good. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to give you 3 of the main, I'll put them here, 3 of the main outcomes that guys that follow this feel the benefit. What are the benefits that they get most from this? Okay, what are the benefits that they get most? So when I ask people, once they've finished the elite movement or the program, how do you feel? Okay, this is number 1 by far. Calm. Calm. Why do we suddenly go from feeling so chaotic, stressed, angry, and everything to calm? It's because everything's in order. It's because you're taking charge of your own life, where your time is going, where your energy is going. And over a period of time, what happens with our state of mind is that we slowly but surely slow down, and we know where our time and energy is going, and we know what we're trying to achieve, and we wake up and we feel like this purpose. So there isn't that anger, there isn't that rat race, there isn't that going between vision 1 and 2 over and over and over again. All right, makes sense? Second one is passion for life again. Passion for life for me is like gold dust. When you're passionate about life, when you're passionate about living, when you're passionate about your family, when you're passionate about your development, when you build non-negotiable routines, man, it feels really good, because passion leads to the third one, Pride. Absolutely goals, right? Can you remember the last time that you felt proud of yourself about doing something, whether it's a 5K, whether it's something you did as a good act, whether it's the way that you, I don't know, showed up sometime, just patted yourself on the back and said, man, well done. And it's really, really important to understand these here right now, okay, and what they are and what they're trying to achieve, because they are absolutely key fundamentals. These are outcomes. These are outcomes, okay, that we're doing. And I know for those of you on the Elite 7, okay, you're at such at the start of your journey to achieving this, to slowly getting towards this. And a lot of the tasks and stuff that we put up in there is really designed to move you closer to this. So what we are going to do here is, as you might have seen, we are going to offer you guys an opportunity to get onto these. Okay. Now you may or you may not have seen, okay, exactly what it is that is next. So next week from Monday, we are starting a 5-week journey. Okay. So our 5-week journey is taking everything that I've kind of gone through and putting it into an SRS. So what is the next phase? Okay. It is an SRS to making you get all of these things. Okay. So it's a structure, it's a routine, and it's a system. And it's spread over 5 weeks. Okay. And the 5 weeks are designed to build all of these things. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get to every single one of these at the very top level, but you are going to experience all of these things. 110%. There is no doubt. This is what the purpose of a 5-week program is about. It's about building focus. It's about understanding how to manage and control your time and your energy. And the benefit to that is having clarity, feeling progression, having control. So it moves you away from chaos, frustration, and anxiety. Okay. It's about supercharging your energy levels. And it's about doing that by building the body that you want. So whether you run, whether you go to the gym, whether you swim, whether you cycle, whatever it's going to be, by managing your sleep, by managing your routines, by managing your structure, by making exercise a non-negotiable, whether it's a walk or a cycle or whatever, we're going to supercharge those energy levels, okay? And that's what's important. And we're at this in the process, even though we're not a body transformation, I've got a picture I'm going to put up tomorrow of one of the lads who lost 15 kilograms over 4 months. And that's simply by getting himself in order, by straightening out his time, his energy, and his focus, okay? We want to make sure that you're building barriers within your life between work, between yourself, and between your family. Because this, for me, is the most important, the connection with your family. Having a strong relationship with your family, for me, is key. Absolutely bomb-proof. Because this, if everything went to pot, this is what we've got. Now, I look at everything. If I lost everything, I know that I still got my family. And having that connection with them is the most important thing that we will do over those 5 weeks. Okay. The benefit is that you will experience a relationship with your wife again, where you communicate together, you can laugh again together, you can do things together again, because actually you're purposefully awakening yourself from that rut and Groundhog Day mentality of vision 1 and 2 and going, I really want to make this work. Okay. You're going to have natural structure, routine, and systems, and you're naturally going to have vision. Okay. And the way that we deliver that is by just going over modules. Okay. So like on the first module in the first week, so the first week is very much about preparation. So we run it from a non-social media platform. And what we do is have a series of accountability posts and tasks, etc. Okay. And this will be going out tomorrow, so you'll be able to kind of have a little, in fact, it went out today, it's Thursday, isn't it? So it's out already, so you can go into the community and you can go and have a check out on that. And we have accountability systems, and the benefit of being accountable is that it builds the process inside of your mind. So we call it the fort. Okay, so here, okay, the fort, this is the state of mind, and all of the principles that I just went through, when we're accountable, builds this fort, this mentality. Okay. This side, you've got distractions, rat race. This is the stuff that's trying to get into your head. So all of those things that were stopping you getting all the things you wanted, that's what's seeping into your brain. So we have to build this force field around the thought, around the mindset. And by practicing those principles and being accountable for those principles, you build this mindset in here that is fortified so that when all of this distraction comes in, you're calm. So one of the lads was in a car crash, I think about 3 weeks ago. And he messaged me and said to me, I've never felt so calm in a situation like, he said, before I would have gone stir crazy. I would have lost the plot. And he handled the situation. He managed the situation. He arranged everything without losing his temper and whilst tending to his family as well. And I thought it was such a great example of leading, of building this fort from the principles that we build over the modules that we do. So then weeks 1 to 4, you would then have a one-on-one with me. So like a group session on Zoom, I will see all your faces and we'll have a back and forth conversation. And the benefit of having that is for me to elaborate on the training that I want to get across to you on how we get these wants. How do we get these wants? Okay. And every single week we can have a conversation. So we're going to action plan. Okay. And they will happen on a live basis, or you can watch them back if you can't make it. We will have modules each week. And these modules take probably no more than 15 to 20 minutes a week out of 168 hours. Okay, so we're not trying to pile on loads of work on you. It's about 15 to 20 minutes worth of commitment right across the week. Okay, easy and manageable to do. And the benefit of them is to really, number one, awaken you and open your eyes to what you're going to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. Okay, and the other things that's going to happen there is to educate you. Education. So you're going to ask yourself, when was the last time you educated yourself, okay, in how you would live your life? How would you live your life? How do I live my life? Okay. And then we've got the community of around 200 other men doing what you are doing, what you have been through to get to the place you want to be. And suddenly you have all of that inspiration in everything that's happening for you. Okay. So it's a whole package. It's a full-on, i.e., support, accountability, direction, and education for you. And all you need a day is 1% to do it. So you will only probably need to commit anywhere between 15 minutes a day. And it's not a case of the course and your life. It's a case of integrating the course into your life to change the way that you're living your life. And don't look at them as two separate entities. The way that you run your life, what we're trying to do with the course is put the magic powder onto your life to slowly start improving it, making sure that you're getting everything that you want. Okay, make sense? Okay, so the way that we price this and the way that I feel like we wanted to price this is that it's about the cost of a coffee and a chocolate bar a day. So if you figure out how much money you spend on booze, if you figure out how much money you spend on takeaway, think about how much money you spend on like meal deals at Tesco's or whatever, because you've run late and you haven't prepped all of your food. We've kind of based it on that. And if you can cut down on booze, if you can cut down on takeaways, and you can kind of look at how you can invest in yourself, then we kind of can look at, is all of this worth a coffee and a chocolate bar a day? That's what you got to look at it. Okay. So like for what we've done here on this particular opportunity is that we are pricing this at $199. So normally this is a $275 program, but we're going to offer it as a reduced amount till Sunday. So the deadline is Sunday to come and join us for that offer. Okay. And then it's closed. I always look at it as that if you've done two or 3 weeks, in fact, if you've done the whole course and you followed the course all the way through and you've listened to me and you've joined my sessions and you've done the modules and you get all the way to the very end and you go, James, I didn't get anything from that, I will give you all of your money back. Like that is a guarantee, like 100%. If it does not work and you get to the end and you followed everything, and I mean you've done all the accountability and you've put yourself on the line to do it, I will just give you your money back. And whatever fee you paid of the $199, I'll put that towards a charity of your choice. Like we've taken over 8,000 lads on this. We've been doing this for nearly 8 years. And I think it's like, we know it 100%, how men work, how to get the best out of men. But there are considerations. Number one, I have to get you to meet me halfway. So I want you to come and meet me halfway. I want you to want these things. If you don't want these things, this is not for you. Okay, you need to want these because I want you to have them. And you have to be open to change. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen. And at the end of those 5 weeks, I can promise you the way that you look at life now, maybe at 1 or 2, you're not even going to recognize it. You're going to be at the top of that number 3. Okay, you're going to be at the top of that number 3. All right, guys. So the way that this will work is it's an application process. So what we ask guys to do is apply. So I think if you're watching on Facebook, I think it's up in the comments. If you're on Zoom, it's I put it in the chat. I put it right there. I can put it in the WhatsApp group as well. Have a look through it, read, listen to some of what the guys are telling you. Okay, I haven't sat there and gone, right, guys, I'm going to give you 50 quid if you can just say how good the program. Like, why would I do that? We've been doing this for a long time. Read some of the things that the lads are saying. Watch some of the things that the lads are saying. This is definitely a game changer. We're passionate about what we do. There's me, John and Mike. John was one of my first clients. John's my operations manager. He was one of my first clients in 2015. Now he's my number 2 in helping other men. Mikey B, he completely walked away from his job in corporate life because it wasn't the life that he wanted. He now works for me helping you guys. Okay, we have a great community. We have a great bunch of lads, really, really good bunch of lads who are working their nuts off to change the way that they live their lives. And what we want are lads who aren't there yet, but want to be there. Okay, so we can take you to the next place. All right, guys. I really hope that you've found this valuable this evening, and that you have got something from this, and maybe it's an eye-opener, an awakening for you. That's why we call the Elite 28-day resurrection, right? Because it is resurrecting you. It's finding that second half of your life. It's time to let go of the old one. The byproduct of creating a new life is that you have to leave your old one behind. And that is also hard, but beautiful at the same time. All right, guys. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate you guys coming in. I know we've got guys on the Elite 7 and we've got guys listening on Facebook as well. I'm running a workshop or a webinar as well, masterclass on Sunday evening. I'm going to show you how to plan focus for 12 weeks. Okay, plan and focus for 12 weeks. Now, for my guys on my Elite 7, you will have that link in our community. For those on Facebook, if you want to register for that, go to my Instagram page, click the link on my bio. It's James Boardman. You'll find it. I'm sure most of you are following us anyway. Or my bio on here, and you'll see the link for the workshop. All right, guys. I look forward to seeing those lads that apply come onto the other side, come into our Elite Brotherhood, and I'll see you all Sunday night. Have a cracking couple of days.